Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Where are we today? We are in Georgetown in Penang in Malaysia.
Georgetown, located on Penang Island in Malaysia, is a city that beautifully blends the old and the new. As the capital of the state of Penang, it is renowned for its multicultural heritage, colonial architecture and buzzing street life. Georgetown's roots go back to 1786 when it was founded by Captain Francis Light of the British East India Company. The city was named after King George III, and for well over a century it served as a key British trading post in Southeast Asia. In fact, it was the first such settlement in Southeast Asia in what was then known as the Straits Settlements. This colonial past is still visible today in the city's architecture. Fort Cornwallis, the largest standing fort in Malaysia, is a direct legacy of British military presence, while the Queen Victoria Memorial Clock Tower is still standing, built to honour the monarch's Diamond Jubilee. So come with me and explore this colonial gem together. As always, if you like the video, please consider subscribing to never miss any of my future videos. Let's go!
Right folks, it's time to get stuck in here. So we're staying here in the sleep box by Apple One Hotel. Let's have a look inside. Hello. One of the things that really strikes you when you first arrive in Malaysia is the mix of cultures. You know, having spent a lot of time in China, where there's essentially one culture, here is very different. You're met with Chinese signs like this, but also right across the road there's an Islamic mosque. So you've got the minaret tower and you've got the speakers for the call to prayer, that sort of thing, right side by side. Another interesting thing is that English is readily available everywhere, so almost all of the signs are in English. The cars do drive on the left hand side of the road, so there's still little remnants of the British Empire still here, even 60 or 70 years after independence. There's a Chinese temple, and then there's a bar. What time is it, folks? It's lunchtime. It's time to get some scran down the esophagus. Let's get this onto the plate. Good old spring rolls. I love this idea of getting the lettuce. So we got the Red Lion, presumably some sort of English bar. The Tipsy Cow and the Sober Cow. Hello. So all around you can see the different cultures all blending into one. So later on in the video we will explore some of the British colonial history, which is something personal to my own heart because I am from the first colony of Britain, which is Ireland. And arguably, as some politicians, John Hume said himself, Ireland was the first colony and it'll be the last to leave. And I think that is true. This colony did leave in 1957, as did many after the Second World War. This mosque was built by the British, by the East India Company, which was of course the company set up to trade in this part of the world. There has been a history of over 200 years of Indian Muslims being in this area, so it dates back quite a long time. So right here we're at the start of the Armenian Street. It was the first British colony in Southeast Asia, and they did make it an open port, so therefore other countries were able to trade out of here freely. Meaning a lot of people from Europe did settle here as well, so the Armenians being one of them. Is Armenia in Europe? I'm not sure. I think it's between Asia and Europe, it's on the border anyway. But this is Armenian Street, so there was a lot of Armenian businesses here. So a lot of people do come here for the architecture, British colonial architecture, and it's easy to see why. So there you can see there's the Armenian House coffee shop. And I must say there's nothing better on a day when it's 34 degrees heat and a lovely ice cream, or a lovely poke as we call it in Ulster. If you do fancy taking one of the local tuk-tuks, you can jump on one of these bikes, tricycle bikes. We've just walked down this street and the first thing I can smell is curry. So I think we are in the area called Little India, and it's easy to see why. You could be forgiven for thinking you are actually in India. A lot of gold shops, masala tea, saris for sale. You hungry? Because I certainly am. What do you think, folks? Have you been to India yourself, or have you been to Malaysia? Please let me know in the comments below if you've been here and what do you think of it. I do love their gold. There's a lot of gold shops here. That's Bollywood, not to be confused with Hollywood, folks. The Hollywood with one L. I just spotted a really cool fire station, which it says on the building from 1908, which would have been still under the British era. So after the independence, there was an attempt at decolonisation, getting rid of some of the colonial structures, but they did keep some of them. Some of the names of the streets, they have changed it to Malaysian, Lebu, but it still has Bishop. So obviously Bishop is a Christian thing, so Bishop Street. Lebu Bishop doesn't sound as British, but nevertheless the name still remains Lebu King Street. So Bishop Street, Queen Street, all very familiar names if you're from the United Kingdom. And we're going to go and explore the Queen Victoria Tower, which was kept. I do believe some of the other structures have been renamed or repurposed, or decolonised is the word they like to use. But Queen Victoria's structure was actually there to celebrate her 60th Jubilee. Yeah, Lebu Light, which means Light Street, named after Francis Light, who was the first British person to set foot here and declare it as British territory. This was the first British settlement in Southeast Asia, folks. So one of the things you must come and see here is the British architecture, colonial style architecture. That's what Georgetown is famous for. And we're standing outside the town hall. Just have a look at that, would you? So I'm not quite sure what the building's used for nowadays. Obviously the British are long gone, but the legacy still remains. This is the City Hall. So you know me, I do enjoy visiting war memorials. I shouldn't say I enjoy them, because it's obviously a place to commemorate the dead, but it's a place to, you know, be poignant and remember those who have sacrificed their life for the British Empire and for the Commonwealth. Here we are at the War Memorial. Primarily it's for the First World War, like most of the war memorials in Britain and Ireland. And you can see the inscription on it. It's 1914 to 1916. So that was when, you know, the First World War was taking place. Starting World War I from 1914 and 1918, and then on into World War II. And here we've got remembrance for the Siem Burma Death Railway. Now, this is actually in Kanchanaburi in Thailand. I do have a short video on this. I did visit there quite a long time, but there is a British war cemetery in Kanchanaburi. And again, here's our to our glorious dead, lest we forget. So, a familiar sight up and down the United Kingdom. We do have many of these war memorials all over our country, and again here in a former colonial outpost, we have the same thing. So very reminiscent of home, reminiscent of the UK. There was a communist uprising trying to overthrow the British, which was known as the Malayan Emergency. Now I believe the reason it was called an emergency, not a war, was because the insurance companies in London wouldn't cover it if it was actually an active civil war. So it was called the Malayan Emergency, a bit like in our country, the Northern Ireland Troubles. It was never actually called a civil war, probably for the same reasons. The right of freedom of speech, assembly and association is guaranteed. That's Article 10, the Federal Constitution of Malaysia. You can actually come here and protest. There are rules though. What are the rules? Conditions. All speakers are prohibited from using a loudspeaker, megaphone and any other public address system. Anyone who wishes to use the Speaker's Square to make speeches does so at their own risk. The state government and the Municipal Council of Penang Island will not be responsible for any prosecution or legal action by the police or civil proceedings. So you're welcome to come down to Speaker's Square and make a speech. Again, drawing similarities to my own country, I believe there was a similar practice available in Custom House Square in Belfast, Speaker's Corner, where people would come and talk, because civil liberties are that you can protest about anything you want.
Atau alam mulai enggan bersahabat dengan kita, coba kita bertanya pada rumput yang bergoyang.
We're standing here in Fort Cornwallis, which was the first fort set up by the British in 1786. That's when Captain Francis Light, arrived here and set up this fort. Now it is named after Charles Cornwallis, who was the governor of Bengal, now India, back in those days. So it was named after another British administrator. So this here is the Gunpowder magazine, built in 1814. So this would have been where all the gunpowder was housed to put into the cannons and ward off potential attackers. Still intact to this day. Testament to the British engineering of the day, over 200 years ago. So here you're getting a view similar to what the British would have had back in 1786 when they came here, warding off potential pirates and the Malay population who were presumably unhappy about these foreign invaders. Now there were other invaders before that, and the Portuguese and the Dutch being in the area. So the British were the ones who finally captured the land and held it for over 150 years. So they would have had to live behind these walls with these cannons. So something similar to other forts around the world. I'm just outside the fort here, and they are actually reconstructing the moat. Now this moat was an integral part of the fort when it was first built, to obviously keep away invaders. But in 1921 they took the decision to fill it in, and since then the area did suffer some flooding. Now they're in the process of reinstating the moat, so it will flow all the way around the fort. Now we're going to check out Penang Hill, which is one of the must-see attractions when you come to Georgetown. If you get a grab here or get a taxi, you'll get dropped off just here. Now we've got our tickets. Well, we've just discovered we have to wait 1 hour and a half until we actually get our spot onto the cable car. What does that mean? We should have pre-booked If you want to pre-book, I will give you a link down below where you can pre-book your tickets and save the hassle of having to wait. Schoolboy error, book in advance. You can pay for the express lane if you want to bypass the crowds. All aboard, folks. So if you take the funicular up to the top of the mountain, this is the view you will get. You can literally look out over the city of Georgetown and out across to the mainland of Malaysia. Let's have a look. Was it worth waiting for an hour and a half? I'll let you be the judge of that. There's plenty of choices to eat and drink.
Hello sir, we got massage here.
It's time for an ice cream. On such a day like today, I do need some sugar, I need some refreshment. Go on quickly, get that ice cream down your neck, it's gonna melt. So we're almost at the top here. Discovered one of the cannons. Does seem to be an inscription on it, number 31. Not sure if anyone knows about the manufacture of cannons, but it does have the British crown on it. I'm not sure what monarch that is. Is that E? Please let me know. Which monarch is this? Which royal insignia is that? Did cannons have the royal crest put onto them? I don't know. It's the first time I've seen that. It's the first time I've looked at a cannon up close, to be honest. So this is Sri Areolai Thirumangan. Did not say that right. Sri Areolai Thirumurugan Temple. It's one of the oldest Hindu temples in Penang. Let's have a look inside. Never mind the red hand of Ulster. Here we've got the pink hand of Sri Bala Murugan. So right here you've got a Hindu temple, and right over there is a mosque right beside. So we're going to go and check out both. Now we're going to check out the gatehouse, which does look like it could be anywhere in the countryside in England somewhere. Nobody's home. And look at that. So here's something's very familiar sight back in the United Kingdom, but we're here in Malaysia in Southeast Asia. What have I just spotted here? Let's have a look over here. So right in front of us we've got a Queen Victoria postbox. Yes, the British postboxes were all over the British Empire, and they always bear the symbol of the monarch at the time, who was Queen Victoria. VR, which stands for Victoria Regina. These were made in England and obviously shipped out to the British Empire all over the world, and it remains to this day painted red. Some countries have painted them different colours, like in Ireland they're green, and Hong Kong they're also green. Here they've remained red, and I believe they're still in use to this day as well. Not this one, but there are some post boxes like this across Malaysia. Those of you postbox nerds will enjoy a bit of that one. So far I've just been on the main track, but I'm going to take a wee detour here. I've noticed these network of paths called the bypaths, which will take us deep into the forest. I wonder what I'll find in the forest. Sometimes whenever you're working in a stressful job, or you're in a stressful relationship, or you just want to get away from the hustle and bustle of daily life, it is nice to go out and take a walk in the countryside. Right now, all I can hear are the birds and the trees and my own footsteps, nothing else. So right now we're at the Chu jetty. There are 7 jetties which are named after 7 of the original, I'm going to say families, but I'm not sure if they're called that. 7 clans? The Chinese have clans? 7 historical Chinese families. Now these are the jetty settlements. This is where the poor people lived, and they were basically on the water, and they're still here 200 years later. But as you can see, it has become a tourist attraction. I think there was a gold rush or something, some description. There was a reason they moved here for employment. And actually to this day, the Chinese population is over 51%. So the largest ethnic grouping in Georgetown is actually the Chinese. These are people's houses. There's someone's letterbox. I wonder how they'd feel if you lived here. Of course, you could look on the plus side. If you're a homeowner down here, you've got a high footfall of tourism, so you could establish a little business, which by the looks of it, a lot of people have done that. And you can even bring your motorbike down here as well. Because I don't think you're fitting a car down here, folks. We literally are just perched above the water. It doesn't look the cleanest of waters, but there are other jetties. There is another one over there. It's a wonder they haven't collapsed over years, you know. Seawater rot away the stands or whatever, but good engineering. So how would you like to have this balcony? Would you like to live here? It smells like Port of Ogie Harbour, and that's not good. As you can see here, looks like someone's house has disappeared. So all these stilts would have supported the structure, but one is no longer. After Kuala Lumpur, Georgetown is one of the highest growing economies of Malaysia. You've also got this old world of all these old shacks literally standing on the sea. What meat do you have?
Yeah, this one is soya soup, baby egg, prawn, chicken egg, beans, flour, vegetable, and rice noodle.
Okay, how much is it?
8 ringgit.
Okay, yes, one of those.
Okay, take a seat and come here.
Thank you. Rice noodles and bamboo shoots, chicken and egg. Definitely one of the things to do when you're here in Malaysia is to try the street food. So I'm going to try a bit of a hot pot here. I think it's a kind of a self-service thing. You just choose your food and stick it in the hot pot over here. Now, what have we got? So I think how it works here is you just stick your stick into the pot and you keep a hold of the sticks. It's got a little colour code on it. Choose whatever you want.